Afternoon, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Mine is going pretty well. Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 myths about ADD or ADHD. Myth number one is that ADD, ADHD is a fad diagnosis. It is not a fad diagnosis. It is recognized by the Psychiatric Association and is in their diagnostic book as an actual neurological disorder. Some people think it's overdiagnosed. I think my opinion is that it may seem that way because more people seem to have it, but I think that's because you just didn't know people had it before, and now the symptoms are out there. People start to question, well, maybe that's what my problem is, that type of thing. And myth number two is everyone outgrows attention and behavioral problems. That is not true. It has been believed previously, or still by some, that by the time children reach late teens to early 20s, they outgrow the problems they had as ADHD children. And that isn't true. Some of them still have symptoms. They have difficulties functioning in society. They have relationship problems. They can't keep jobs. Some go to jail, become drug addicts, alcoholics. The problem stays lifelong. I myself was not diagnosed until I was in my 40s. I'm 67 now, and I still have rampant symptoms that cause me a great deal of difficulty and frustration because it makes it very hard to function under many circumstances, it's not something you permanently overcome. And so it's a constant struggle. So my symptoms have not disappeared at all. Myth number three is attention deficit and hyperactivity is a minor problem. That's not true anyway, for reasons I just mentioned. When they're children, they can't pass school, they can't function in school. Sometimes they have difficulty having friends because they can't behave appropriately, that people don't want to be friends with them, or it causes, they end up with anxiety disorders, or all kinds of addiction from trying to self-medicate. Usually we end up with associated, or I forget what they're called, the additional diagnosis caused from having ADHD, like anxiety disorders or depression. We end up with a lot of, or borderline personality disorder, different things like that. Some of those might be diagnosed because they have the same symptoms. So you might not actually even have all of those things, but you end up with co-diagnosis a lot of times. And so it's not a minor thing. It's not just a behavioral problem or things like that. It can have some severe repercussions in the people's lives. And myth number four, attention deficit and hyperactivity diagnosis is only for boys. Well, that's not true either. Boys are diagnosed 3 times more than girls are. Part of that, I think, is because boys are diagnosed more often with the hyperactivity part, because girls are less hyper and sometimes more introverted. But some of that might actually be society and social learned behavior. Boys are allowed to be boys, girls are not allowed to run wild, so to speak. And when they have behavioral difficulties, a lot of times girls may become withdrawn, whereas boys will become more confrontational, or have I don't want to say violent tendencies, but they will be more noticeable because they will be more active, so to speak, whereas a girl may become more introverted. But a lot of women are being diagnosed in adulthood, even now, like I was, with inattentive ADHD, because they have difficulties that were never recognized as being ADD. Myth number five, medication is the best treatment for attention deficit and hyperactivity. That one's a hard one for me because I agree with that. I disagree with that. Medication is the best treatment for attention deficit and hyperactivity. And yes, it's a myth because I've taken different medications. They've never helped. And I was lucky enough that when I was diagnosed by a clinic that specialized in ADHD, and they had classes on behavior modification and how to live with ADHD. And they had a lot of recommendations. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention to most of them in my 40s. I'm not the wisest person sometimes, and I don't remember. I didn't keep my notes, so I don't even remember most of what I learned. But they were very good classes to try to help you adjust. And I've had to learn to adjust. And I've tried different things. And I'm of the belief, and also there are some medical people who believe it's not just medication. You have to have medication, behavior modification, or teaching how to control your behavior, and tips and tricks in how to work around the ADHD symptoms. And also, it is extremely important for a person with ADHD to have a balanced diet, a healthy exercise routine, and to get enough sleep, and to basically, it's important for everyone to take care of themselves, their health, and to take care of themselves. But it's even more important for an ADHD person, if they want to function at all, to do all those things. Because if they do the opposite, their symptoms are going to run wild, and they're not going to be able to hardly function, and they're going to be pretty miserable. And just taking medication does not solve anything. It does not handle that much, at least for me. Well, I'm not even sure what medication is supposed to do, because medication never helped me at all, and it made my symptoms worse in other areas. But when it does help people to focus and function better. But they do have to have an arsenal of treatments, not just the medication. So that's the five myths about ADD, and pretty much I agree that they are myths. They're not true at all. I didn't disagree with any of them. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you the next time. Thank you very much.